and welcome everybody. Thanks for joining our live webinar. Today we are going to discuss how to move your IMS core to AWS without having to worry about losing control of service quality. Transitioning your infrastructure to the AWS cloud offers a myriad of advantages, from enhanced redundancy and speed to unparalleled flexibility and cost efficiencies. However, it also introduces the challenge of losing visibility into voice quality and the workings of your service backbone. But there's no need to panic if you have the right tools. My colleagues Lior and Michael will now discuss how you can confidently uphold the performance of your voice network using VoIP Futures Crystal for AWS. Just some housekeeping notes before I hand over to the guys. We are a large audience, so all participants are placed on mute. Videos are turned off. If you have any questions along the way, don't be shy and put them in. We'll address them later. So, Lior, Michael, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Lilach. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. You should be seeing my screen right about now. Yep, there we go. So who are we? So VoIP Future, we're a German-based company. We were founded in 2007, and we sit in Hamburg. And our mission is to enable premium voice service quality for companies like yourself. We do this by providing unique technology. It's used for assessing, aggregating, analyzing, and visualizing voice quality information for better data-driven insights. I'll talk about these. There's a lot of buzzwords here, but we'll talk about them. We support all the voice over IP standards, including voice over NR, VoLTE, Wi-Fi, IMS, NGN, enterprise, interconnection, everything that's SIP and RTP based. Of course, we're AWS ISV Accelerate partner, and we have already installations, systems that are covering voice on the cloud. We have a large install base with CSPs also that include on-prem and hybrid solutions, and you can see some of them here at the bottom. As you know, there are many benefits of moving your services to the cloud, but there are also some challenges, and these are the challenges and benefits that we've seen from our customers. I want to start with the benefits initially, right? So speed of deployment, flexibility, the redundancy this gives you, expanding your reach with minimal resources, scalability, and basically you get carrier grade out of the box. But there are also some challenges when you let go of that control of your network. There's a lack of visibility of your existing tools that just don't extend to the cloud. There are additional layers of network complexity that are added, and you don't know how they will affect your service quality. And that black box scenario, which is basically you don't know what's happening in the background and how to be able to deal with it. So this is where we come in. I'll introduce our product. It's called Crystal. Crystal is a voice over IP monitoring and analytics solution. We're the leading voice monitoring solution that integrates control plane and media plane analytics. We provide a deep insight into 100% of all the voice over IP traffic, and we also do automatic detection of root causes. We very early on understood that it's not about giving you the MOS score of a call. What do you do with the MOS score of a call at 3.62, right? The network is a black box. You don't know where the problems are. So we very early on understood that we need to give you the tools to be able to manage and maintain your network, if it's on-prem, on-net, and everywhere in between. So architecture is designed to support small, medium, and even tier 1 CSPs on AWS, on-prem, and hybrid. Something nice that Gartner said about us a while back is that Crystal's patented technology converts network-related data into business outcomes.
Maybe if I might chip in here, Lior. I mean, this is not just about when you look at the architecture of Crystal, which scales very well, and it's a software-based solution, but put that together with AWS, it basically allows you to provide tier 1 monitoring capabilities to basically anyone in the market in a very cost-efficient manner. So I think this is really key if you combine the forces of VoIP Future and AWS to monitor your voice service.
Yeah, that's right, Michael. Thanks very much for that. So what is Crystal in a nutshell? We're a passive voice over IP analytics solution for SIP and RTP based voice services that include telco IMS, unified communications, and basically any voice services running on the cloud, where our solution integrates voice quality assurance and root cause analysis. So what we do basically is we sit on the edges of the network as close as we can to the voice service itself. We get a copy of the traffic, usually via VPC mirroring, to our probes. Our probes then analyze the traffic in memory in real time, so you don't need to be moving large amounts of traffic between regions, availability zones. It's all done locally. And then we send a very light summary, which is 0.05% of all the traffic, out to the Crystal Manager. And then the Crystal Manager does all the post-processing analysis, correlation, aggregation of data, reporting, alarming. Everything is, of course, UI. Everything is done through the Crystal Manager itself. From a resource point of view, we run on standard EC2 machines. Probes run on C5 2x larges, and the manager runs on the C5 4x large. Once again, this is for a small medium solution. Once you get into bigger tier solutions, we go more custom and split the system up. You'll see this later on with our reference architecture that we can share with you.
I might also add, maybe, I mean, of course, scalability also goes, to the lower end. So this probe with this EC2 will be able to monitor at least 10,000 concurrent calls. So, we can also do smaller if needed.
Yep, thanks, Michael. That's correct. We've got actually systems running today on the cloud with a couple of hundred concurrent calls and a much lighter solution from a resource point of view. So what makes us unique in the market is the focus on the SIP and the media and the RTP. Other tools focus on the signaling side, coming from the traditional PSTN, TDM world, where signaling was the major player. But once you get into voice over IP, especially once you bridge that gap into the cloud, you have to be able to look at the in-call user experience, at the media, the RTP, to be able to understand what level of service you're giving to your customers. VoIP Future Crystal provides 100% of that dual visibility, that 360-degree view to be able to help you provide that superior insight, especially when you don't have control over the network.
Maybe, just to underline, this, happens, like the media monitoring bit happens to be like a key strength of the Crystal solution, but it's actually not so much about what Crystal can or cannot do, but what is really necessary. So if you don't look into the media monitoring, into the media side of things, you're really missing out actually on most of the call. Once it's set up, that your signaling is okay, but the actual in-call user experience is typically left in the dark. That's the black box aspect that Leo mentioned in the beginning, or that you mentioned in the beginning. And I think this is really key, and that's also where a lot of issues like one-way audio, drop calls, etc., are also caused, and most other tools are simply blind to this.
Great point, Michael. And I think here's a good example that you can see from our system is, that peek under the hood of how the RTP, the media, is performing. So this is, if you do a call search in our system, you can see that you'll get this page, pages, right? So there are many, many tabs here, but let's just talk about the related tabs, because I think it can clarify how we provide that, the peek under the hood into that black box of what's going on. So I'll start from the top and I'll go down to the bottom. So first line here is a typical CDR line that everybody's probably seen a million times. We've got some indicators here at the beginning. We look at the signaling quality, it looks fine. Transport quality, A to B and B to A. We're getting a hint that something is wrong from the A to B side, right? But we still don't know what. We've got a start time, a session duration timing, a call number, and some other information about this call. If we look at the signaling side, Michael, as you mentioned, we see that 200 okay, we saw 2 events. We all know that if nobody would have complained, this is kind of call, nobody would go and proactively investigate this call. 200 okay, almost a 90-second call, nobody would be the wiser unless somebody complained. But let's see what happens when we add that dual visibility. Let's see what happens when we look at that, peek under the hood of how the media is performing in the network. So you can see this bottom part here, looking at the RTP streams that we got from the VPC mirroring into our probes. This call was monitored 4 times in this specific network. We look at both directions, A to B and B to A of the call. So in each monitoring point, we have directional awareness to be able to tell you where the RTP is coming from. You can see that from the A to B party, there were issues going on the call. But from the B to A, everything was fine. So in this case, if the call center was our A party sending traffic, let's say, to the B side, the customer wasn't being able to hear what was going on. The call center had a great call, right? They were clearly getting the data from the customer to be able to understand what they're saying. But the customer was not able to have a good user experience to be able to hear the other party. And in this case, you can see there's a lot going on, as I said. There's some whites and greens, some yellows, some red. And without me kind of doing any training about the system, it's very clear that yellow and red means that there are impairments that the end user or the end unit was not able to overcome, and they were affecting the user experience of the call.
And by the way, I mean, we all know, we've all had these calls, where, one side couldn't hear the other well, and how many times do you actually ring up with your CSP and actually complain about about a subpar call? Actually, most of us don't, because you will be queued in for hours, and then all they say is, restart your router or something like this. So basically, there is you won't ever hear about this sort of issue, and so virtually it doesn't exist, but it's there, and the customer is discontent. So this is where really this detail helps to really shed some light into the actual service performance. And if I may add also, just to give you some numbers, we've had a case where we did an investigation for a customer on one-way audio, and basically the customer asked their customer to, or the CSP asked their customer, enterprise customer, to record any case of one-way audio. And so they did, and then after we found out the pattern, we realized that only 1 out of 40 calls were actually that were one-way audio were actually on the list and were complained about. So that basically gives you an indication of the ratio of blindness that you have when you rely on customers to complain and tell you that things are going wrong. With Crystal, you see it right away in real time.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Michael. So, as I mentioned, part of our DNA as a company is not just to tell you that there's something wrong. The MOS score is 3.6, right? But actually, we showed you before that there's a problem in the network. We showed you where it is, but we also show you what the problem is and how to fix it. So what you're seeing here is just an example of a traditional way of troubleshooting a call. So a customer would complain. If they would have complained, they complained. You ask for a PCAP. You open the PCAP and Wireshark, and then engineers have to sit down, spend time, and then find where the problem is. Right? It's kind of a loaded question. They spent the time. Now they're sitting here and looking and understanding that there was a network buffering event. What we do actually is we provide you with smart indicators that do this automatically for you. We actually do pattern recognition on the RTP traffic itself from our experience of working with telcos, and very easily you'll be able to see that this was critical jitter that was going on. We saw this, there was jitter buffer underflow, jitter buffer overflow and underrun, sorry, and the reason for that was a network overload event. So we showed you that you had critical jitter, where it is on the network. It's a network overload, so one of your elements, network elements, is being overloaded. Just look at that path, check them out, the network elements, the one that you see overloaded is the one that you should be paying attention to. We don't just look at the transport, we look at the conformance to the standards, which we all know can create many problems with end units. We look at the policy, we look at routing, RTP headers. Michael mentioned some of the special indicators that we have that are single-sided audio, drop calls, silent calls. These are all indicators that are in the system that you can search for and are available to you in the system. So how do we do all this? Part of what we have is we have a patented technology called time slicing. So we take every RTP stream that we see in the system and slice it down into 5-second time slices. We create a summary of that 5-second time slice called the QDR, Quality Data Record. Each one of these QDRs has hundreds of parameters in it. Some of these parameters include the IP, the MAC, the VLAN, DHCP, codec or codecs if there were any changes in that 5-second time slice. If there was any packet loss, if there was any jitter, what was the MOS score of that 5-second time slice, and automatic detection of failure patterns already on that summary. So what do we do with these? We put them into our fixed time slicing engine, and we can do, of course, call quality and root cause analysis. Those were those fine lines that you saw in the media RTP streams before in the related tab, and we can do a very detailed troubleshooting to understand what was going on throughout the call. But we can also start aggregating these QDRs into KPIs. And these KPIs give you the service and network quality performance of how your entire network is performing based on these 5-second time slices. So as you can imagine, we create very precise, very accurate, high-tempo data on your network and service quality based on these 5-second time slices. Just to give you an example, think about analyzing the flow going down the Niagara Falls by looking at each drop going down the falls. This is the level of detail that we have on the network performance if it's in AWS or on-prem or hybrid systems in the middle. So let me give you an example of one of these KPIs. One of these KPIs is called good minute ratio. Good minute ratio is a simple KPI. It's defined on NETI technical review 103639, and it's defined as any QDR that has a MOS score of above or below 4.0 is good or bad. It's very simple. But in this case, we have a 10 by 10 matrix of 100 QDRs. 3 of them are red. That means the GMR, the good minute ratio of these 100 QDRs is 97%. But you're going to ask me, okay, 97% of what? What are these 100 QDRs? And this is where the power of the system starts to shine. This could really be anything you want in your system. So you can slice and dice your system by a direction of a call, or giving you a comparison between the last 15 minutes of your calls to a specific interconnection partner. Or this could be the performance between your network elements, your availability zones, or the service you're giving to VIP customers. The traffic they're sending you, the traffic you are sending them. This could be done by IP, by SIP trunks, by numbering plan. Really, you can slice and dice the network any way you want based on these QDRs. On top of that, it also lets you the ability to start comparing between different lengths of calls. So how do you compare the quality of a call that was 30 seconds compared to a quality of a call that's 30 minutes, right? How do you compare those qualities? We are totally agnostic to that. So you can send all these QDRs, put them in one bucket that you want to compare, and suddenly you have a very simple terminology and way to be able to understand how your network is performing based on these KPIs. Another thing that this gives you is the power that different stakeholders in your organization can suddenly be using the same nomenclature because it's based on the network performance. So your purchasing guys purchasing interconnection minutes can use this, but also your SLA guys working with your business customers are able to do this, giving service to your end customers if they're mobile, if they're IMS customers. It's all able to be done based on these simple reporting KPIs.
And it's not just hypothetical. I mean, we have plenty of customers who make use of our open interfaces and export their data into their own NOC system, into customer portals where they report, where customers see their own call quality, and like tons of different use cases, all based on not just the typical signaling KPIs, but also on these Etsy time slice KPIs that Crystal offers.
Thanks, Michael. Really, it's GMR is just one of these KPIs, as you mentioned, but we also look at the critical minutes, we look at streams, we look at calls, a full suite of media KPIs that defined by Etsy, but also that dual visibility, looking at also signaling KPIs. And this 360-degree dual visibility is what gives you that edge to be able to manage and maintain your network under that black box, right, or understanding that peek under the hood. So you're not blind anymore. I'd like to kind of move this discussion to the next level of how this kind of fits into the AWS cloud. So our probes are totally agnostic to the technology, the service that you're providing, the vendors that you're using, or the type of service that they're monitoring. So you could send to the same probe, if these are our probes sitting in the cloud, you can send to the same probe many different types of services. They don't care. You can send the same to the same probe. You can send different kind of services, or you can split it around different probes sitting throughout different availability zones, different regions. Everything is then correlated and then sent back to the Crystal Manager for post-processing analysis. And all the user interaction is done with the Crystal Manager itself, so it makes life a lot easier. What this also gives you, sorry, yeah, Michael, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just thinking maybe just to mention that the lookout that is mentioned here, or the outpost, that's all just possibilities. So we have done customer projects where we exported the Crystal Manager data to Lookout to do some adaptive alarming. We've also discussed using AWS Outposts with customers and deploy probes there, but it's all, but it's not sort of part of the architecture. That's basically the only thing that I wanted to chip in here.
Yeah, and as Michael mentioned, so you could have the manager, because our system is so flexible, the manager could be in the cloud with probes in the cloud and on-prem, as you mentioned, hybrid, but it can also be backwards. So the manager could be on-prem, and the probes could be on the cloud, and some of them could be on-prem. Really, because of the way our architecture works, because we do the analysis in the probes and we send very small summaries back to the manager, it's very cost effective in the way we work with AWS to be able to monitor and maintain your networks.
Right.
From a reference architecture point of view, currently, we were laughing at this before. We are black box to you at this point, right? So all of this, the Crystal Manager would be a black box, and the probes also. They just sit in different areas. They can all sit in the same availability zone. But once you get into the larger deployments, the tier 3, the tier 2, the tier 1s, we're actually able to break this down to utilize the different resources at AWS to be able to scale the system. I want to say almost, to tier 1 level. We've already planned this out. So just to be mindful of the time and to start wrapping things up, the key benefits that Crystal for AWS provides today is that we do analysis of 100% of all the SIP and RTP traffic. We provide registration data, both call directions and every monitoring point, down to 5-second time slices. We can do network segmentation, border control, smart indicators to help you quickly troubleshoot and manage and maintain your network. You provide smart packet recording in the case that you do, at the end of the day, need to listen to what's going on. And of course, call flow ladder diagrams are available for analysis and troubleshooting. Correlation of data, of calls, grouping, aggregation, drill down, drill up is all available to the user interface. And of course, alarming, exporting of data, reporting, integration to third-party systems, and long data retention is all out of the box with the system. For additional benefits, we give you visibility into the in-call quality on-net and off-net of the network. Gives you peace of mind when going to the cloud, right? So if you're worried before that you're going to lose control, we give you that visibility into that black box, into under the hood of what you're actually providing. And once you want to get into the advanced more use cases, as Michael mentioned, look out for matrix, machine learning, you need to have that high-level, high-temporal data that you can get by using this level of solution. So just to quantify this, so with our smart indicators, we give you about 80% less time to fix and detect issues, 96% decreased in drop calls and silent calls that we've seen from our customers, 100% visibility into your voice services, and zero hassle with licensing. We have a one licensing model that basically based on number of concurrent calls being monitored in the network, and all the features and functionality is included. So what's next? How do you get this solution? Currently, it's from us directly. So you can reach us at one of these emails or to me directly, lpen@voipfuture.com or sales@voipfuture.com. Marketplace is coming soon, hopefully later this year. We will be available to be downloaded from the marketplace directly. I can tell you that the question that came up is, how easy or hard is it to install us? I can tell you that we had a customer that called us on a Saturday night that was having issues with their cloud deployment. They had, I think, an installation already done by Sunday afternoon, and by Monday they were up and running. So they were a UCaaS provider. So I guess it's pretty simple. That's it. Yeah, Michael, go ahead.
We have another question here about licensing. Can you add something on this?
Okay, so licensing is it's annual-based licensing. So it's as I said, it's depending on the number of concurrent calls you want to measure in your network. We actually call them CMCs, concurrent measured calls. So if you have one call that's measured multiple times throughout the network, it's just that we need to make sure that you have the resources to be able to do this analysis, and the system is licensed according to that. It's an annual-based license with a fixed fee. It's tier-based.
All features unlocked, all data available for
100%. Michael, that's a good point, right? So one of the major things that we believe in, that this is your network, your data, your way. You have access to all the data. It's all exportable from the system to be able to, if you want to do some more advanced reporting analysis, as Michael said, integration to third-party systems, it's all available out of the box, no additional fees. Your annual fees include software upgrades, support, and everything that you need to get visibility into your voice services on the cloud.
Okay, maybe just an outlook. I mean, I think it doesn't really change a lot in regards to the pricing, but in the future, for the marketplace version, we will use sort of metered packets, analyze packets instead of concurrent calls. But in the end, you could save if you go from 20 millisecond packet rate to 40 millisecond packet rate. You can then save on the monitoring, but in the end, it doesn't. It won't make a big difference. But yeah.
Yeah. So currently, as Michael mentioned, it's a BYO, it's a bring your own license currently at this point, and then it will be at different tiers, not just per usage. Michael will probably also have by time, right? So monthly, annually, it will also be in there.
And that's
As I
like
said,
I
this
said.
will probably happen later this year. I think we are done.
Yep.
Unless
I don't
there
see
are
any
any
more
other
questions.
questions.
No, don't see anything at the moment. If you
Great.
have, you know how to contact Leor or go to sales@webfuture.com and or visit us on LinkedIn. You see the QR code here. And yeah, hope to see you soon with our next webinar.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thanks
everyone.
everybody. Yeah, there'll be a follow-up webinar. Once we're on Marketplace, we'll do a webinar of exactly how to get it do the installation and get it directly from the Marketplace. So thanks everybody. Appreciate your time. Have a good
Thanks,
one.
Leor. Bye-bye.
Bye.